Let's talk about Boolean operators. So as same as we have the arithmetic operators like plus, minus, multiplication, and so on. Similarly, we have the Boolean operators. So Boolean operator, first of all, know that the Boolean is a data type that has only two values, like true or false. As same as just like an integer data type has a value like a whole numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 100, 1000, whatever. Similarly, we can have a floating point values just like 12.5, 1.2, 0.5, 0.7, anything. The floating point values has a decimal places in it, and string types has a string of characters or single character or multiple characters. Similarly, Boolean data type has two possible values, either true or false. Okay, and these are the Boolean operators. Same as we have the Boolean what is it called, the integer operators like plus minus. Similarly, we can have a Boolean operator. So these are all called relational operators because it tests for the relation between two operands. So equal is an equality operator which checks whether the value, for example, a is the value stored in A is equivalent to the value stored in B. Okay, so if this condition satisfies A is equal to B, then the outcome is true. So for example, here assume that the value of x is 3. Now if we execute this expression, this instruction x equal 3, so this condition actually satisfies because current value stored in x is 3. So when we execute this statement x equal 3, it would return true. If we execute this one, x equal 4, it would return false. Similarly, we have not equality operator check. So we check if a is not equal to b. Let's say if x is not equal to 3, it means that it would return false because the current value of x is 3. So what we are testing here is if 3 is not equal to 3, which is false. Okay. Similarly, we have less than equal to operator. You can check if x is less than 2. X is not less than 2 because x is assumed to have a value 3. Similarly, x is less than 3, which is also false because x is not less than 3. It is exactly equal to 3. So we can either get the true value if we check x equal 3 or x is less than equal to 3. Okay. Similarly, greater than equal to test. Okay, so we have the examples of the Boolean operator. Suppose this is a chord, and which in the first line we are taking an input age, transforming it into an integer data type, and assigning the value to user underscore age. Now what we are doing here is we are checking using the if block to compare what is the input age, and according to the age we are performing a certain operation or executing a certain piece of code. Okay, so we are actually assigning different values to a same variable depending on what condition is satisfied. Okay, so here you can see indentation. So if the piece of code is indented underneath this block, it is considered as a part of this condition. So once this condition satisfies, we can this instruction will be executed. This statement will be executed. We can have multiple instructions indented underneath the same condition, which means that the entire block will be executed. All the number of instructions, indented instructions, will be executed. Here you can see it's not a part of the branch and it would always execute. So first of all, let's say assume that we have taken an input. The user input is, let's say, 21. So it would first check for this condition. This condition does not satisfy. It will go further and check for this condition. This condition satisfies. So it will assign a value 4800 to insurance underscore price, and then it will not execute any other instructions because this condition has already been satisfied and this piece of code is executed. So it will not be going to check any other conditions after the one which has already been satisfied. Now once this block is over, any other instruction which is an unindented instruction like this one, print, or we may have some couple of other instructions in our code, it is considered as not a part of the branch structure, so it will be executed anyway. Okay, now let's talk about the logical operators. operands of such operators are either true or false, as same as I gave you an example of the Boolean operators. So again, there is a difference between the Boolean operators and logical operators. So Boolean operators have a first of all, let me tell you, logical operators include and, or, and not symbols. So let me tell you in this. Yep. So here, first of all, the Boolean operator. So this is a Boolean operator. So it takes a value, it can take a value, let's say A and let's say B. Now we can have A equals 3 and B equals 4. Okay, so we can have this. Let me just bring it down a little bit. Okay, so here we have operator A has some numeric value, B can have some numeric value. This is an example of a Boolean operator. Okay, we can also have like a simple that we are already aware of, like plus or minus or multiplication. So we can perform Boolean operation, arithmetic operation here. A plus B, it will give an arithmetic operator. Similarly, just like Boolean operator, arithmetic operator, we can also have a logical operator. So logical operators are and, or, and not. So these logical operators, just like the plus is an arithmetic operator, it has two operands. It takes two operands, A and B. Similarly, this logical operator have two operands. This AND operation has two operands. Okay, but the operand values here in this example of arithmetic operator, and this plus operation can have an integer value, floating point value, sometimes in string values if we are talking about Python. But in logical operator, we have the operand values as true or false. So if I say x and y, so x should be a value which is true or false. Y equals true or false. Okay, so you can memorize the operation of this logical operator and as simply x. When both x and y are true, then it returns true. Okay, otherwise it returns false. If either of x or either of the input x and y, x or y is false, then the result would be false. Or x or y. So if any of the two inputs, x or y, is true, the output is true. And not, let's say x, if you're talking about x, if not x is false, then it will invert its value and return true. If x is true, it will return the value false. Okay, so let's go back to the slides. So logical operators include and, or, and not operations. These are not the only three logical operators. We do have some other logical operators available. We will not be talking about it. So in Python, you can actually use and, or, the lower case keywords, not, for performing these operations. Okay, so these are the keywords. You cannot use these values to name your customized variable. Okay, so here again, just whatever I have explained in words. So when either of the input A or B, whenever any of the input is false, then the output for A and B operation is false. When both the inputs are true, the output is true. For OR operation, if either of the two input is true, then the output is true. Here in the NOT operation, if the input is false, the output is true. If the input is true, the output is false. Okay, you can see in the AND operation, only one output is true when both the inputs are true, and only in one scenario. In OR operation, the output is true when either of the two inputs are true. That's true. Okay, Now detect ranges with logical operator. How can we detect ranges? So for example, here a equals 7, b equals 9. So we can detect if our number is somewhere in between these two. Or what we can do is, let's say a is greater than 2 and b is less than 10. So this is the Boolean operator, a is greater than 2. Does it satisfy? What does Boolean operator return? It returns the value true or false. That true or false would become one of the operand, the left operand of this AND logical operator. Okay, so a is greater than 2 is satisfy this condition, so it would return true. B is less than 10 is also true, so both the inputs become true, so output would be true. Okay, when you talk about a is greater than 4, which is true, but b is not greater than 10, here it would be false. So one of the input is false, the output is false. And if you talk about the OR statement, so a is greater than 0, which is true, b is less than 10, which is also true, so the output would be true. Now if you talk about a is greater than 8, which is false, or b is less than 10, which is true, so one of the input is true, so output for the OR operation would be true. If you talk about not, so not b is less than 10, so b is less than 10, which is true. So if we execute this expression, so not true would return the output false. Okay, similarly a is greater than 9, which is true, and performing this operation would still, sorry, a is greater than 9, yes, a is greater than 9, which is yeah, there is a mistake here. So a is should be equivalent, maybe I was trying to say a is greater than 9, which is false. Sorry, yes, it's right. So a is greater than 9 is false, and executing not false statement would return true. Okay. So we can also assign a Boolean values to a variable. So as same as I gave an example on a whiteboard, like x equals true, y equals false, and that would become eventually Boolean values.